my little Tattle Tells? How y'all doing today? Well, if you are Meghan and Harry, you are just doing just fine. What's up, Sussex squad? We have to recap the gains and wins that Meghan and Harry had. But of course, it couldn't be without the palace trying to put their gray cloud over the sky. You guys, what am I talking about? So much has happened in this week. Meghan and Harry triumphantly went to New York to address the UN, something that he never could have done while he was with the palace, but also the palace is so mad that he did it oh so well. Meghan showed out in Manhattan looking beautiful. But you know what the funny thing is, right? Saltine Island is so desperate to cling to anything that they are now trying to compare William's speech to Harry's and say that Harry copied William. How could Harry copy William? You know what? I'm not going to be mean. I'm going to stick to facts and get to this. However, Kate also literally will not let the crying story die. Now, here's the thing. Maybe it's my silly American sensibilities, but the crying story was never a big story to me. It should have been dead, but Kate won't let it go. And it tells you a lot about the way she's been broken from the system and the way she just won't let anything go. Not only that, Scobie dished real tea at the fact that Harry, one of the reasons why the palace hates Meghan so much and why they're so mad at Harry is they bet on him to fail. They wanted him to fail. Unfortunately, like he said, he chose very, very well in life with his wife. And Meghan said failure is not an option. You guys, let's get into this because to me, all these subjects are incredibly interrelated. Let's start off with Kate and this Meghan crying thing. Why is this still an issue? Seriously, do you know why? One, I 100% think it happened. One, I do think that Kate actually cried. Let's look at it at the surface. The audacity of a woman to come to a woman on her wedding day. Your wedding day is the one time anything you say go. And you start fussing with her about the length of the skirt and all this other stuff. Basically, you're mad that you can't control her wedding. Okay, that's already rude and disrespectful enough. Very, very shameful, especially considering you've smiled in the face of dictators. You've welcomed bloodthirsty people that committed genocide to your palace, shook their hand, and smiled for the cameras. Don't tell me you couldn't find a way to smile and grin and bear with Meghan. The problem was you thought Meghan was below you. You thought Meghan was beneath you, but let's talk about that. Here's the thing. I can be sympathetic toward Kate. I mean, pre-Meghan, before she started caring, like being a Karen. Pre-Meghan, I can be sympathetic to Kate's struggle. You came from backgrounds that everyone in the palace thought you weren't good enough. You stood by with 9 years of humiliation, cheating, being mocked by the nation. When you finally married into that family, they completely broke you down and built you up into what they wanted you to be, which was a quiet, mute, Stefford Wright breeder. I get it. Meghan's never going to be any of those things because she came as a fully formed woman and she will never let anyone break her down. But Kate, you were young, you were impressionable. And not only that, your prize was to sit next to the queen. Your prize was to be royalty. Meghan had a pretty comfy life prior. And again, I know everybody doesn't understand, but in America, we know about royalty. We understand. But on a certain level, that cultural phenomena, the way the British treats their royals, we are never going to truly understand because it goes so against everything we've been ingrained to think about what is just and what is right. I'm not saying that we are better than them. I'm not saying that we're worse than them. Well, I am saying that the British royal family sucks and we are better. But you guys completely get my point. Now, I will say this, right? They broke Kate down. The thing is, when people get broken down, sometimes it makes them a better person. And sometimes they become just as evil as the people they broke down. It is my contention that she became just as evil as the people that broke her down. And her reward for all that punishment and abuse is she's at the top of the totem pole and now she gets to punish and she gets to abuse people. And she decided that Meghan, with her dewy cheeks and youthful appearance, was the person to be bullied. Now, the one thing they didn't count on the fact of Harry saying, oh, no, 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 you are not doing this to my wife. Now, why didn't they count on that? Well, Scobie said that royal palace aides literally thought that Harry was never going to amount to anything. They said the palace did not believe in him. They said, but not everyone believed in Harry's decision. Few within his own family in the palace thought it was a good idea. Many had their own dramatic predictions about how disastrous a move to the U.S. could be. Honestly, he's setting himself up to fail. Without all of this, it's impossible, they continued, waving their arms in Buckingham Palace. You guys, listen. This is how royalty keeps people in line. This is how they keep William in line, Kate in line, and everything else. They do break you down. They do make you believe crazy things to be completely dependent on them for the rest of their lives because it is about power. But part of the way they do it is saying, remember Margaret? Remember the king's brother who abdicated? Remember how shameful and poor their lives were? Remember how they were begging for money? That's going to be you because it's really hard to make money in the real world. It's really hard to be someone in the real world. Without that title, would anybody respect you? And a lot of people fell in line. Harry never quite bought into it because his mother didn't buy into it. William, of course, bought into it because he had a sweet deal. Wait, I'm going to rule this whole realm, and all I have to do is just publicly cheat on my wife and embarrass her and act like I can't stand her? Done. I'm my father's son. But Harry had different sensibilities. And Harry, his mom, Diana, of course, planted a seed. And then in his wife, he found someone that could water that seed and actually make it grow into a mighty oak tree. Yes, I read a lot of books when I was a kid, but you guys get my point. Meghan showed Harry a path to freedom. She showed him that the family's actually holding you back. She showed him how to take something which some people could say a blessing, which for Harry turned into a very heavy, heavy curse, and leverage that into the freedom that he desired, the freedom that he was raised to desire. The fact that the palace thought they couldn't make it, well, I think the palace is entering the flop era. Isn't that what a flop era is when you start to believe your own hype? You guys sabotage people. You guys bully people. You guys humiliated people. You guys have allegedly psychologically abused people so that they stay in line and nobody has been ever successfully able to break free. But this is also why you never wanted anyone to marry outside of the British royal bloodline and outside of the upper crust. Because the thing is, that only works when you have a captive audience. Harry's move to America. I know it still bothers him. That's his family. I'm sure it still gets on his nerves. But the coverage that we have of the British royal family is zero. Literally, how many people are covering in America? The way they can ostracize them, ice them out. Remember dumb Mike Tyndall literally looking up in the air? I'm not going to talk to you. I'm William's new favorite best friend. That won't happen in America because nobody gives two handshakes about William, Kate, Charles, the Queen. None of that. Yeah, it's nice for a state visit, but get out of here. They are no one. The fact that they are no one in America and they have a very, very little power means that their tips to make them miserable and bring Harry back into the royal fold would never work. Now, had they stayed in Windsor, I 100% believe they would have broken them. They were very close to it. That's why they fled to America. Get this about the money also. As numerous offers within the bubble the family claimed at the time, right? Numerous others within the bubble the family claimed at the time, Harry's ambition to cut himself off from the publicly funded sovereign grant and continue a life of service would be impossible without the risk of accepting money from the wrong places. You mean like the way his father was a public service and still took money from the wrong places? Man, shut up. Half the jewels in the royal family are from the wrong places or literally stolen from the right places. But let's move on. But 2 years later, and without a penny from British taxpayers, Harry has created the life he has long dreamed about. A life Omid dare says he couldn't have achieved if he remained a working member of the firm. And what is that life? Harry is free. He is rich. He doesn't worry about how he's going to protect his daughter. He doesn't, his son and his wife. Not only that, he is well respected. And he's actually doing the good he wants to do on his terms. He has Archwell, Travelers, Scintable, Invictus. Huge things. And here's the thing. I've heard people say, oh my God, Harry's spoiled just like the rest of them. Oh, please, you're really falling for this? And I will say to you, yes, he grew up pampered. Yes, he might be a spoiled prince. All those things can be true, but he is fighting to be a better version of himself. And he's fighting to be the man his wife deserves and the man that his mother wanted him to be. You guys, he literally has his own podcast on the horizon. Major contracts with Better Up, Netflix, Spotify. Not only that, Meghan and Harry say, achoo, and the whole world pays attention. William and Kate go out to get the world's attention. Anything I can do, Harry can do, we can do better. And they make fools of themselves. Every time William and Kate has stepped out, they have made fools of themselves, which brings me to my last subject. What is all this nonsense with comparing William's speech to, Prince William's speech to Earthshot to Prince Harry? Prince Harry actually said some very heartfelt and true words. He said, and in the dark days of grief that followed, he's talking about his mom's death, I found comfort and solace in the Scottish outdoors. It's where I felt closest to my mother and sought solace after she died. And he said, he talked about finding Meghan and said, and where I knew I found my soulmate in my wife, it is here in Scotland 20 years ago that I first, listen, this is what William said. It is here in Scotland 20 years ago that I first met Catherine. Needless to say, the time when you meet your future wife holds a very special place in your heart. Yes, William, you don't have to say this. We would assume that is the default. We would assume that. Everybody on Twitter was saying, Prince Harry just copy and pasted Prince William's 2021 speech at the Church of Scotland. Saying that it was a fond memory where you met your wife is the same as talking about how you realized in the place that brought you solace after your mother's death that you had met your soulmate. Listen, I don't know what goes on in Saltine Island, but yeah, try again. But they're grasping at straws because all they can do is grasp at these straws. You guys, every day is not a victory, but if you are Harry and Meghan, baby, this last week has been amazing. Congratulations. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye.